This is your boy, Shun, joined by the man who has the distinct honor of being 3 times Pennsylvania State Yelling Champion, Steve OG. Thank you. Join us as we open the Extreme Wrestling Archive, Hostile City Showdown, 1995.
Yeah, here we go for the 100th time. Hand grenade pins in every line. Throw them up and let something shine. Going out of my fucking mind. Filthy mouth, no excuse. Find a new place to hang this noose. String me up from atop these roofs. Knot it tight so I won't get loose. Truth is you can stop and stare. Run myself out and no one cares. Dug the trench out, lay down there with a shovel up out of reach somewhere. Yeah, someone pour it in. Make it a dirt dance floor again. Say your prayers and stop it out when they bring that chorus in. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. Just to throw it away, just to throw it away. I bleed it out.
1995.
Yeah,
That was like a long time ago.
I was. How many years ago was that? Do you know what was going on in 1995? This would have been April 15th.
Tax day.
Oh, that is
Taxes
tax
were
day.
due. People were lined up outside of H&R Blocks all over the country.
Yeah,
trying to get their taxes done.
I bet Paul Heyman was not paying his taxes on time.
This was before TurboTax, so you had to do everything on yourself on paper.
That sounds terrible. All right, like I said, it's April 15th, 1995. 1,150 people in attendance, so they really packed them in there.
Plus, it was the 90s, so math might have been different. We don't know how that stacks up now.
Do you think they just counted ticket stubs?
Yeah.
Because everything's scanned now. They scan all your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Did we even have tickets when we went to the Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
Or was it? Oh, I wasn't sure if it... we went somewhere.
But that was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
it was just on your phone. They scanned...
we went to a rock show. We went to a rock and roll show.
And they scanned our phone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so this took place 1 week after the 3-way dance. Remember that? That was the last one we did. So that was a week ago in this time.
Getting ready to talk about this, I tried to do a little research.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't find a map that had Hostile City on it. I kept going back. I found one with the USSR in the early 90s. But nowhere. I tried to map quest it. Hostile City is it like Atlantis?
It's not in the United States.
I look all over the world, all over the globe.
It wasn't on the spinny globe.
Yeah.
Well, Hostile City, I don't understand that, but Philly is a hostile city, right?
But it's the city of brotherly love.
That is true as well. So, how does that work?
I don't know.
That's like having your cake and eating it too.
Most people who have cake eat it too.
That is true, actually.
No one's ever had a piece of cake
and not eaten
and not eaten it.
All right.
If that's the case, then no one would ever make or purchase cake.
That is true, man. What's the point of cake then? You can't eat it. All right. So your champs this time are Shane Douglas. He's your world champion still. Eddie Guerrero, your TV champion. I don't know if you remember, but he won it last week
with a mustache
by beating Too Cold Scorpio. And your tag team champions are the Public Enemy, who also won them last time.
Public Enemies would be the plural.
Oh, that's true. Well, there's only the two of them are one enemy though.
No, that's not how people work. Are they Siamese twins?
No.
Are they conjoined?
They are not.
Then they are enemies.
Okay, so to the public.
Maybe not.
All right, so there. Honestly, this was supposed to be some kind of like double header with the last weekend 3-way dance. I don't know if you remember. It was the 3-way dance was actually 3 tag teams. It was Rick Steiner and Taz. Remember Sabu? They fired him on live television, live on tape rather, because it was supposed to be Taz and Sabu, but it was Rick Steiner and Taz versus the Triple Threat, who were Malenko and Benoit, versus the Public Enemy.
Live on tape, wouldn't that just be tape?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was live in the arena.
Everything's live when it's on tape.
What if it's an animated series?
Okay.
We start out with Mikey Whipwreck.
You want to say that again?
We start out with Mikey Whipwreck, Stevie Richards, Raven, Bob Artiste, and Jim Molyneux standing in the ring. So there was no kind of entrances or anything.
They're just already there.
Yeah, they just appeared. This is our first match, Mikey versus Stevie Richards with Raven. Stevie Richards, he tries to jump Mikey, but fails, and Mikey unloads with some lefts, but is eventually tripped up by Raven on the outside. This leads to some kick his ass Mikey chants by the crowd. Mikey, he then leaves ringside. Looks like he's about to, go home. Take his ball and go home. But what? He doesn't now. Mikey, he ends up coming back with the Hackamaniac, as I like to call him.
Why do they call him that?
I don't know. Joey Styles always called him that. He said Hackamania is running wild. The immortal Hack. Taking a Hulk Hogan type approach.
I believe they were poking fun at Mr. Hulk Hogan.
Were they? Okay, so the crowd chants Shaw, because that is his nickname, which they usually chant when he's punching people. Back in the ring, Mikey, he gains the upper hand, but can't secure an early victory. So Mikey, he comes out with some nice reversals to Stevie's offense. So basically, he's reversing everything that Stevie does. Stevie, he finally turns the tables with a thumb to the eye, but then misses a drop kick. And I wanted to ask you this. Why does missing a drop kick hurt so much more than hitting a drop kick? Hurt the person delivering the drop kick.
That's a great question. Planning. When you hit a drop kick, you plan to, while in the air, make contact, and then you kind of know where you're going to land. Without the resistance of the kick, you're just laying in air in free fall. Oh,
so you're anticipating that kind of pushback by hitting an object,
mm-hmm.
And when you miss an object, you can't flip or rotate, so you land. You don't land like you're expecting.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure like Sir Isaac Newton wrote something about drop kicking in one of his books.
It was right after.
It was like the 12th law of motion.
Yeah, it was the theory of relativity.
That was Einstein.
Oh.
But yeah, I think it was like the 12th rule of motion. If you miss a drop kick, it's going to hurt.
Centrifugal force, was that him?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, so Mikey, he works over the left arm of Stevie. Stevie, he reverses that arm bar and tries to drop an elbow with the same injured elbow, which got a little chuckle out of me. The crowd chants Daisy Dukes.
Because he's wearing short pants.
Exactly. Joey Styles, he makes a Catherine Bach reference.
Who?
Catherine Bach.
I do not.
Oh, that was Daisy Duke.
That was the actress?
Yeah, and she was very attractive compared to Stevie Richards. But also, like late 70s, early 80s, I think she was a good-looking lady.
Mm-hmm.
And he does mention something about he'd rather pin her up on the wall.
I saw her in something recently, like a show.
She put on a lot of weight.
It might have been like the Dukes of Hazzard reunion.
Oh, I was thinking maybe she was a celebrity rehab or something.
No.
Stevie, he finally reverses the momentum into a sweet-looking powerbomb. Richards, he charges Mikey in the corner, and then there is a cut, like a swift cut to Raven on the outside. So we cut back, and Stevie is stuck in between the turnbuckles in the corner. So I think there's some kind of fuck up, and they try to cover it up in post-production by cutting to Raven and then cutting back. They didn't cut out the "you fucked up" chants by the crowd. So you basically could tell that somehow somebody botched something there. Again, Raven, he trips up Mikey. And how does Mikey respond to this one? Well, he doesn't, actually. Hack Myers just trips up Stevie Richards the next time he runs the rope. So I guess Hack gets back for him. This leads to another Shaw chant, which I always like. I'm surprised, like, Hack Myers, he's kind of like gross looking, hairy, he's got a weird haircut, he's not in any kind of shape, but he gets the crowd into it, so he's a lovable character.
He's well respected.
Yeah, much like you.
Huh.
Well, I mean, like the fat and hairy part. but you are well respected.
In some circles. Small
All right. Circles. Very, very small. Stevie, he does get the upper hand with a flapjack type maneuver. Stevie does a good job selling the arm, so it does look like he really did hurt his left appendage there. We get a shot of Raven, emotionless, but he does have great volumized curly hair.
Have to.
What's that?
You have to.
Oh yeah, he must use some kind of product, I would assume. Stevie, again, he goes for that same flapjack type maneuver, but Mikey turns it into a hurricanrana and gets the 3. Post-match, Raven, he immediately jumps Mikey, causing Hack to come in, and he runs wild on both Raven and Stevie. This then causes the Pitbulls to hit the ring, overpower Mikey and Hack.
Both 1 and 2.
Yeah, correct. He overpowers both Mikey and Hack, and this causes the Public Enemy finally to come out.
Enemies, yes.
To a big pop to apparently make the save as all 4 of the heels scamper. The Public Enemy... The Public Enemies end up just taking Hack's wallet out, which only has $2 in it.
It was like $2 or $3. But it was $19.95, so that could get you like an extra value meal at McDonald's.
Yeah, there were some nachos. How many nachos?
Oh, out there?
Yeah,
they were probably like $1.50 maybe for like a solid
definitely. You could
platter.
You might be able to get extra cheese. Yeah, so they just end up leaving Hack and Mikey in the ring. But the thing I want to know is who wrestles with their wallet?
I mean, it's kind of like asking like when football players like wear watches. Like when Odell Beckham wore a watch
while he was playing.
Yeah.
Why?
He wanted to look good.
He wanted to know what time it was. All right, so for me, I did like this match. It was a good way to start the card. It definitely got the crowd started, got the crowd going. But for me, which made me even funnier watching this, knowing that you'd watch it, this was as close to an opening tag match as you could get without actually having.
One of the things that I thought about when I was watching this, it was like I've taken a shit on like the organization of the cards of like the last like 7 of these that we've done, and I thought like this is as close to perfect as these people could have gotten based on their track record.
Yeah, but also just to cap it off, we had a run-in by 2 other tag teams as well. So.
They had to make a showing
in the first match. It's always sick. I just thought of you, and it made me laugh inside. Yeah. Okay, any other thoughts, feelings on that match?
No, I just think it's funny that if you look at like if you go on the internet and like look at the list, the card here, like they all say with Stevie Richards, with Stevie Richards, like he's like Lil Jon from the early 2000s. he's just like on every song.
This really didn't have any kind of build up, just kind of 2 quick guys opening the card, to get things going, get things started. There wasn't much like brawling or weapons, as we will come to see later, but
story builder.
Yeah. So it didn't have anything to do much with, which I'm kind of surprised with all the tag teams running in, but it didn't have anything to do with Raven and or Tommy Dreamer, which Raven was there. So I don't understand that, but I mean, I know Stevie Richards is like his little lackey, and the Pitbulls are kind of
part of the big storyline. So
I don't know, just a little weird. Next up, very odd. We have Tony Stetson versus, what is it, Subo Genjin, joined in progress. All right.
Someone forgot to put a tape in.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming this match had to have been terrible in real life, and that's why
they fast forwarded.
They didn't want this to be seen by anyone.
Right.
Basically, like, erasing, trying to erase like Nazi Germany or the Holocaust
or the George Wendt show.
Just they might have gotten better ratings if they just aired dead air.
You can go on the internet and do hours and hours of searching and cannot find a clip longer than 30 seconds of the George Wendt show. A network sitcom.
Everyone's
from the mid-90s.
Everyone's trying to forget that.
It's not on the internet.
Yeah, you can find rare pieces of...
You can find video of Abraham Lincoln on the internet.
Yeah, like you could buy the Dead Sea Scrolls on there, but you could not find a minute clip of the George Wendt stuff. All right, Subo, he kind of reminds me of like Paul Stanley from Kiss because he's got a big star painted on his face. But he's also wearing,
I believe
like...
that was Ace Frehley that had the star.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Paul Stanley.
He's in Kiss.
Oh, whatever. One of those.
Well, I just think for the Kiss fans that may or may not go listen to this, I think you have a service, and I think you should apologize.
I apologize to any Kiss fan out there.
And
Ace Frehley.
And Mr. Ace Frehley.
And Ace Frehley. Do I apologize to Paul Stanley?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Paul Stanley. This basically just shows the last minute, I guess. He does a leg drop for the victory. Then Tony Stetson attacks him post-match. I was kind of expecting something to happen there. No, nothing happened.
Zero things.
I guess this Subo Genjin, what I was looking at, they were trying to appeal. Like, he was a big... In, like, other countries, wrestlers are, like, very famous as, like, they branch over. Like, they're huge television stars. They're huge movie stars. So, they... Like, I guess this guy was like that over there. He clearly had, like, a boner for Jimmy Snuka because he was dressed like a Pacific Islander. And I think even in Japan, he carried a bone around. Like a big leg bone. They were trying to break into the Japanese market. That obviously didn't work very well. And this match had to have been terrible because it was clipped. And there was absolutely no build or mention of this.
Upon further review, I would like to formally apologize to you because it was Paul Stanley that had a star.
Yes, I knew
So
it.
I'd like to apologize to you, Kiss fans, Ace Frehley, and Paul Stanley.
You're going to apologize for my apology?
And I'm apologizing for his apology.
All right. I thought it was Paul Stanley. What did Ace Frehley look like?
He had just kind of another design on his face.
Okay. So I don't understand this. This Subo, this is the first time we see him, and we never see him again. So it must not have been well received. Do you have any thoughts?
I thought that I just had a bad clip of the video. I was like, what happened? Why did it just start? That's funny.
No, that's all it was. You got 100% of what I got. Of what I got 20 years ago on the tape trading.
Live on tape.
Yeah. So, next up, we have Ian Rotten versus Axel Rotten. So this is still a continuing feud, which I feel like making a feud this long, it's nice, and it's like brothers, but I feel like you could have...
It's a truly rotten relationship.
Yeah, but I feel like you could have picked two better people, like wrestlers, to have this long-term feud with. But I guess like you're trying to appeal to the extreme audience, the hardcore audience, so why not have the two people who bleed the most and do the most hardcore stuff? And it's I guess I withdraw my earlier statement. I've been watching.
You talked yourself out of what you believed a minute ago.
Yes, I've been watching a lot of Law and Order. I object to myself, and my appeal is withdrawn. So last time we had the real violent hair versus hair. It was so funny because they went from like a strap match to a baseball match to a barbed wire baseball match to a hair versus hair match. And this, I guess we start out with Axel in the ring. He's got a garbage can with him full of weapons. So he's asking the fans what they want, which he pulls out the strap. They say no. Pull out the baseball bat. They say no. Barbed wire says no. So maybe they'll go with just a traditional wrestling match?
They will not.
No, actually, Axel suggests a bad breed death match, which is everything in that fucking garbage can, he says. Axel, he keeps clarifying, like, I don't know, he keeps saying later tonight, like trying to say that the match isn't happening right now.
Because maybe he knew, like, it was garbage day, and if he waited long enough, someone would empty the garbage can.
Ian knew that?
Or they were going to fill it up with refuse from the concessions, and he wanted to fight with, like...
Yeah, he didn't want empty
nacho plates.
Right.
A paper plate with ketchup on it, which is the worst thing in the world.
Yep, but so apparently, yeah, Ian knew something was up. So a bald Ian Rotten bum rushes the ring, and our match is underway. Ian, he begins to beat Axel with all the aforementioned weapons until he comes to the barbed wire baseball bat. Per usual, Ian, he misses in the corner and the bat ends up getting used against him. So
Textbook.
A textbook
corner mishap.
All right. So Axel, he takes over with the bat, and they head to the outside. Axel, he rakes the back. I did this last time. Axel, he rakes the bat to the back of Ian's head, which hurts. Also, again, it does hurt. You can clearly see Ian rotting, but also blading the back of his head. We do get some ECW chants. They do trade bat swinging and raking to each other. A lot of bat raking. You're familiar with the bat raking?
I love how you're making a gesture in an audio format.
Well, everyone can visualize telepathically, audioly. They can turn this audio into visual. I don't know where I'm going.
And then smell it.
Taste it.
They can smell your hand movements.
Yes. Axel, he gets wrapped up in the barbed wire as he becomes bloody. They brawl to the outside, and Ian, he takes a seat in the front row, mostly because Axel threw him over the guardrail. Axel, he beats Ian with pliers and a hockey stick. So we got new weapons here. Not just your kitchen appliances.
Two different genres of weapons.
Yeah,
you have tools and sporting goods.
Do you think they have like a thing in the how Grand Theft Auto you have like the different 9mm you can carry, the different hand weapons you can carry, so they go back there with like sporting goods, kitchenware.
Yeah.
Which weapon shall I use today? Tools or concession stand? That'll be $20. All right, so Axel, he lays into Axel. Axel, he lays into Ian.
It's a 3-letter name. You couldn't say it.
I only pronounced 2 of the letters. It's tough. It is. It's two-letter names or 2 3-letter names. Axel, he lays into Ian with some stiff bat shots, as both men are juicy. Do you know what that means?
No.
Like. The juice is loose. No, that both men are very, very bloody.
Makes sense.
The muscular dystrophy crutch makes an appearance. Ian, he hits a home run swing on Axel, who is wearing the garbage can. So he put the garbage can over his head and hit a home run, which I feel would probably at least cushion the blow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Axel, he then hits an arm ringer.
It would be loud, though. It'd be very loud in there.
It would be, yeah. Oh, this was kind of funny to me. Axel, he then hits like an arm ringer, followed by like a reverse savate kick. So he like hit like 2 wrestling moves in a row. The first 2 wrestling moves of the match. And there is no room for this here. I don't want to see wrestling moves. Fluid wrestling moves.
After hockey sticks and wrenches. Yeah.
Yeah. Some strap whipping comes into play as Ian bails to the outside. We get our first steel dragon of the night as Ian flings one at Axel. Ian's forehead is so bloody at this point, and I actually went back and watched I think I gave you the tape version. I watched the WWE version. Crystal clear. Nasty. Yeah, it looks great on the WWE Network version. Ian, he has taken like 75% of the shots at this point. Axel hasn't taken much. Axel, he misses a top rope dive as Ian grabs a steel dragon from the outside, wraps Axel in a crown of thorns with barbed wire, and hits him with a stiff chair shot to the head. This secures a 3 for Ian in this bloody matchup. What are your thoughts on that?
Violent match.
Yeah.
The most violent match of the night until the next match.
This is like just what I expected from these two. Bloody, violent, wonderful. Multiple weapons used, but when he incorporated the tried but true Steel Dragon, does he emerge victorious?
Never go wrong with the Steel Dragon.
No. I mean, he had shit from the garage, kitchen, medical store.
Tool shed.
All you needed was the Steel Dragon in the front row. Get you the victory. All right. Any other thoughts on that?
No.
All right. So next up, we have Raven Stevie Beulah with Joey Styles.
Steve Richards back again.
Stevie Richards. Stevie, he is everywhere on this card.
Still wearing his jorts.
His Daisy Dukes, and he's got like a belly top, too.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I was thinking about it, like, we transitioned from, like, the early 90s now to, like, the mid to, like, late 90s, and, like, this is right around the time where it was like, dude, that haircut is out of style now. You can't do that.
A puffy, like, mullet.
Yeah.
Like, feather mullet.
Like, he didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
But
like, Raven's got long hair or whatever, but it's curly and it's even. It's not business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah. So this pre-match ringside discussion where Raven just stands there awkwardly for 9 minutes, not saying anything.
Yeah.
While Richards is just the mouthpiece for 9 minutes.
I'm surprised
talking about how Dreamer's an awful human being, and Raven's just standing there like, wait, what? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
You know I gotta fight this guy? Why are you making him mad?
Yeah. Yeah, Stevie, surprisingly, is pretty good on the mic for being... He's, like, freshly... he's only, like, early 20s, you know?
Right.
So some people
he's very comfortable.
He's very charismatic.
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't take my eyes off of Beulah. I had to look her up again in preparation for this. I did some frantic research on Beulah.
It was just weird how they just, like, they're having a discussion, and then they're like, here's Beulah, and then they're like, okay, go away. And then they were outside the ring, and then Raven gets in the ring to meanly come out of the ring. The match, he gets in the ring so the match can start out of the ring.
Yeah. He's very comfortable outside of the ring. He was outside of the ring with Stevie earlier.
Right. For a wrestler, he doesn't like being in the ring. Can I tell you, I have a couple of problems with this match.
Sure.
To start? From the get-go.
Okay.
From the get-go to the end.
Okay.
First off, the puns by the announcer,
Joey Styles,
are terrible.
You don't like them?
I workshopped probably 50 other puns in multiple situations that are far superior.
You workshopped them?
Mm-hmm.
Much funnier.
So, like, when Tommy Dreamer eventually is hitting Raven with a toy dinosaur.
Yeah.
Right? I forgot what Styles says, but he should have said, ooh, he's going to be dinosaur.
Ooh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
He hits him with a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
Right? Great opportunity to say excellence of execution.
You didn't like the yolks on you?
No. Or he could have said, ooh, he scrambled his brain with that one. Didn't do that. You know what else bothered me?
What?
If you're going to hit somebody with a sink, okay? You can't have that be the third weapon in the match. You save the kitchen sink for the end.
The
very last weapon, because then you can say, and they brought out the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
You can't bring out the kitchen sink and go right for the sink and then go to other stuff.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Right. Problem with the sink.
Yeah.
They were referring to it as a kitchen sink. I went back and reviewed the tape many times. It's a shallow sink. That is a bathroom sink.
You could not do dishes in that sink.
You could not do dishes in that sink. You could not clean a pot in that sink.
No.
That is strictly for hand washing and maybe shaving.
It is stainless steel, though. So
it is stainless steel, so it's a commercial bathroom.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because most bathroom sinks are like porcelain ceramic or something.
That's what when they were utilizing the bathroom sink. I kept thinking, oh, they pulled out the bathroom sink, so later on they could pull out a kitchen sink. I was thinking in the future, and then they never brought out another sink. They continued to use the shallow bathroom sink. So I think there was an opportunity there to make this better.
Many opportunities wasted.
They didn't plan very well.
Joey Styles, hey, he's still new in the biz.
Yoke's on me, I guess.
We do have Tommy Dreamer versus Raven. So this is apparently stemming back to like a summer camp where they went together. Raven was dating Beulah, who was 300 plus pounds, full of acne, and now is a Playboy model. I guess Dreamer mocked him and her back then, and that's where this stems from. So that's holding quite the grudge, Raven.
Yeah, Raven seemed really angry about it as he stood there silently, not showing any emotion.
He was very upset. His no emotions.
Speechless. He was speechless.
Speaks volumes. So at the three-way dance last time Raven gushed blood there, so it was just a continuation of that. So we cut to Tommy Dreamer walking to the ring. You can hear Man in the Box playing in the background. This is the first kind of entrance with music. Raven, he immediately jumps over the rope as he got in the ring just to get out. Immediately jumps over the top rope, catching Dreamer by surprise. They brawl to the entryway and through a door that says no admittance.
Right. So either it was like a bathroom that was out of order, or it was just a room where they needed to go so they could cut Tommy fast. Yeah, because they were in there for a very long time.
Yeah, the room with no admittance, as you said, giving Dreamer the chance to blade is what I have written. So I had the same thoughts as you. That was so convenient. They brawl up to the broadcast position. Dreamer, he hits.
There happens to be a table.
Yeah, just set up perfect, conveniently.
With one steel dragon.
Dreamer hits Raven with a very weak chair shot. Dreamer, he eventually finds
It was more like a
chair.
Like what's a malleable metal? It's like an aluminum foil dragon.
Like tin foil. So, yeah, Dreamer, he eventually finds what I presumed was a kitchen sink. And
it was not. No. Because I reviewed the tape.
Based on your scientific analysis, we have a commercial bathroom sink.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is kitchen sinks usually have two so you can
sinks. Wash and rinse. I feel you. I got you. He does beat Raven amongst the head with it. Mm-hmm. They eventually do re-enter the ring. Dreamer, he locks on the Dreamweaver, which is the sleeper hold, but Raven counters it, dumping them both to the outside. This is your next in line thing here. Dreamer, he hits Raven square in the balls with a T-Rex figurine, or a dinosaur, as you say. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what Joey Styles does say, but
he says nothing.
But you did have a good.
He said that's a toy dinosaur.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
He just said what the object was
right.
And where he hit him.
Yep.
Then he does hit him in the head with a box of dozen eggs. So continuing our kitchen theme here, we have the sink at the time. The sink, the eggs. Raven, he hits a DDT on the inside as he does the crucifix pose, which that becomes a big part of this feud here. Hits him with a second DDT, then a third, but Dreamer kicks out. So 3 DDTs and a kick out by Dreamer, displaying his heart, angst. What other words am I looking for?
Pain tolerance.
Yes. Yes, that was it. Dreamer, he reverses a DDT on the outside with a ball kick. It's a good reversal. Scientific. I think they teach that on the first day of wrestling school. He hits a DDT of his own, but a cover is broken up by Stevie Richards. You'll hear me say that name a lot. So Stevie, he whips Tommy into the ropes, but Dreamer actually hits him with a beautiful like float over DDT. Looks very, very nice. And then next, Tommy Dreamer, he DDTs the ref, Jim Molyneux, which is absolutely hilarious. Then he does his crucifix pose.
And then Beulah comes in Raven from behind.
Yes.
Pats him on the shoulder. There's some conversation. He grabs her, flips her up in the air, twirls her around for the crowd to see, and then tombstones her into the ground.
He does pile driver.
And there's just bodies laying everywhere.
Yeah, her panties are hanging out. Her WAP is hanging out. And Dreamer obliges the crowd by showing all 4 sides. Because she was wearing a pretty low-cut skirt, thong hanging out. Only to be finally, like you said, pile driven.
It was really vicious.
By Tommy. Yeah.
Her body just kind of like dropped like a rag doll. Like I was nervous that like it was bad video. I was like, did he really plant her head into the ground?
Yeah, she sold it very well. Yeah. She looked like a dead corpse in there. A bloody Tommy does his like he does the crucifix pose one more time, and this one becomes iconic as it is used in multiple video montages.
And then Sheamus stole it.
Yeah, Sheamus does it now, doesn't he? We do get a nice loud EC dub chant from the crowd. Then Tommy joins them in the crowd, runs into the crowd chanting ECW, winning over the crowd. He still hasn't won. He hasn't beaten Raven. He does win over the crowd, chanting with them. Maybe they're finally beginning to accept this man that was wearing gay fireman dancer pants before. Remember? And a bow tie, I think. I should go back and look. I don't know if they said where he was from, but they used to announce that he was from Dreamland, USA. Hopefully they kind of get to his, it's next to Hostile City. Hostile City, Dreamland. But he's actually from Yonkers, New York, so I wonder if they did that. What are your thoughts, Steve OG, on that match?
Like I gave you all my thoughts. I was really upset about the kitchen sink not being kitchen sink.
You couldn't get past the
Although it would be
puns?
it would be much harder to wield a kitchen sink than a bathroom sink.
That is true. Because usually it's one solid piece, as opposed to multiple working parts.
Yep.
Do you have anything other than the puns upsetting you?
No. I was mainly upsetting puns.
Okay. For me, there is a lot of storyline to this match, and this will continue to almost the company's end. A lot of history, beginning of an epic, iconic storyline. Dreamer, he himself credits this match as truly getting him over with the fans. Beulah, gorgeous, love looking at her. And you get to see all of her legs. Also, getting in on the violence. I do like that. Women taking some of the brunt. I love when they beat women. Also, Dreamer, he's now coming out to like man in the box. He's not wearing those fire pants and bow tie like I said earlier. He's got a singlet with a shirt on, ECW shirt on, using the fans, engaging the fans. So he's definitely working hard to get over with the ECW crowd. You can see him progressing as a character, as a wrestler, as a man. So next up, we have the Eddie versus Malenko TV title match.
And I don't care how many times you watch these two wrestle, it's always awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a well choreographed, like acrobatic, like circus show.
Yeah, like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
This is actually like, because Eddie, like, he did a lot of wrestling down in Mexico. This is like the definition of like lucha libre. It's supposed to be like a choreographed kind of performance.
Well, it's like this matches like these is why WCW signed all these guys. Like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, unfortunately for ECW, but
right.
Yeah. If we remember last week, Eddie actually won the title first night on the job. And actually, I was watching something with the Sandman. He's like, whatever. He's like, you have nowhere to go but down. I was like, that's kind of a good point.
Yeah.
Like giving someone the title on the first night, you can't really build them up. Although Eddie was like world renowned, he just wasn't really in the States yet. So, but this is your basic 1-2 technical wrestler showdown that they seem to be plugging in every card.
Cartwheels, somersaults, jumps.
We got it all. So get ready.
Locks.
So, holds.
Holds.
So we do have a feeling out process to start. A lot of reversals of arm bars, headlocks, rest holds. Very crisp, technical wrestling, capped off by Eddie's spinning boot to the face move that we talked about last time. We were trying to figure out what it was called. I think we just ended up with a spinning boot move.
Face kick?
No, he like steps on his face and spins
Oh.
when he's laying flat on his back. Yeah. Continued back and forth wrestling by both men. This is capped off by the Malenko cartwheel. This does get a round of applause, standing ovation from the audience. We do get a head scissor reversal, which leads to a double drop kick. They almost scissor each other. And this, again, leads off to a standoff with another standing ovation by the crowd.
A lot of standing.
Test of Strength makes an appearance. That's a 80s maneuver. Something happens off stage. I don't know what's going on, but this took over a lot of the match as the fans clearly chant throw him out multiple times. Dreadlock guy in the front of the audience keeps pointing at the ring like, pay attention to them, quit pay attention to his asshole. So it looks like he was pissed off at something. He even shook a cop's hand. Something had to have happened. Some guy was being a dick in the audience. Eddie, he eventually hits a rock bottom, which is pretty nice, followed by a slingshot senton splash. That only gets a 2. Malenko, with his trademark drop kick to the knee, reverses the momentum as he begins to work over Eddie's leg. You look like you have something to say. Or want to say. You're good?
No,
I
was happy you were able to get that.
Get that one out. All right. He puts Eddie into a form of an Indian deathlock with his feet. You know, Triple H kind of brought that back. Yep. But he ends up turning it into like a pinning move, too. It was actually very, very impressive. Had Malenko tied up like a pretzel. Chop block on Eddie gets a woo from the crowd. Obviously. Because that's Ric Flair. That was always in Ric Flair's arsenal. At this point, we get about 5 to 7 minutes of Malenko just working over the leg with multiple moves. Won't go too deep into that. Eddie, he finally does get the advantage. Hits a power bomb. Only gets a 2, though. And they fight over. Eddie's trying to put a swinging DDT on Malenko. Malenko fights it, but he eventually does hit it. Looks great. But only gets a 2 count as well. Eddie, he eventually hits a top rope Hurricanrana, but he's too injured. His leg is, he's still selling his leg. He's too injured to make a pin. Eventually, they do dump to the outside. Malenko, he hits a suplex on Eddie from the inside to the outside. Yeah. But he does miss a plancha as Eddie just slowly, walks away. It's kind of funny. He's like, fuck you. Does his little gringo walk. Eddie looked like he was going for a splash from the top rope. I don't know if he was supposed to miss it or hit it, but it didn't look like either one of them knew what was going on. So it was kind of botched. But
they were tired at that point.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting to about
8 minutes of just running around in a circle.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one ended up with the worst of that. But Eddie, his brain gets busted on the inside by Malenko. And then we go into a bunch of reversals, which Eddie finally reverses into a brainbuster of his own. It's just such a nasty move. I love it. Yeah. Eddie, he then hits an undescribable splash from the top rope, which these days we call a frog splash. It finally had a description.
They didn't have frogs back then.
It finally got a descriptor. They didn't have frogs back in early 90s.
They didn't have frogs back in the mid-90s. Doesn't come around until the early aughts.
No, okay. This only gets a very long 2 count. Malenko, he hits a gorgeous Northern Lights. Again, only gets a 2. Eddie scrambled from a Texas Cloverleaf, which that was always Malenko's finisher, which is a standing figure 4. Guerrero, he gets tiger bombed by Malenko, but rolls through into a pin, but only gets a 2.
Yes.
Eddie, he kind of minimally botches this, but he does hit they got a hold of each other's hands. He runs up the ropes, hits a Hurricane Rana, only gets a 2. Many pin reversals, gets the crowd back into it, and we get an EC dub chant at the end of it. And then out of nowhere, the bell rings, and we have reached a time limit draw. I was looking at the match. It was supposed to be a 30-minute time limit draw, but the match was actually
28 or something.
Yeah, 25 minutes. But that's still the longest card on the match, grueling match. It was a good, solid match.
And possibly the last time in wrestling history that there was a timekeeper.
Well, typically the hammer or the bell is getting taken from him. So I'm never really the biggest fan of Malenko. You could tell, the first time he came in, he has, no charisma.
Zero.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Remember his interview? It was so, he was nervous giving a class report. So and for his size, he doesn't fly as much as Eddie or somebody that's smaller than him. He's just very technical.
No, but they complement each other. They're just always fun to watch.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you?
Thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah. Good to go.
Remember how I said this card they built strong.
Yeah.
We haven't had a garbage match yet.
Yeah. At least they clipped the garbage match. If we couldn't.
Well, sorry. Yeah. I thought that was a commercial.
Next up, we have Sandman versus Shane Douglas. So this stems from last card, Three-Way Dance, where a woman turned on Sandman to help Douglas retain the title.
True or false? We've seen this match 13 times.
We've seen it at least once, I can tell you that much.
By once you mean 13.
A couple, last month, March 18th, they did have a card called Extreme Warfare, which was Cactus Jack and Shane. I don't remember if you remember Return of the Funker. The Funker returned with Sandman against Cactus Jack, and Shane came out. They wanted him to join with them, but he actually hit Sandman over the head, saved Cactus. So Shane and Sandman kind of have a thing going, while Cactus and Funk had a thing going. They culminated in a tag team match after that from Extreme Warfare in March, and this is just continuing the feud. Last week, woman who had been managing the Sandman turned on him by throwing the cane to Shane Douglas, who used it on his balls to get the victory. So we cut to Sandman walking out to enter Sandman, and then Perfect Strangers kicks on, not the theme show from the television.
Which is a great song,
the
by
theme
the way.
song
Very uplifting.
Is it? Yeah. But Perfect Strangers, the Rock's version, the rock song, hits as Shane Douglas with Woman come out. This is basically the first full entrances of the night, so a lot of times it's just been people appearing in the ring. They've been deposited there.
They were working security already, and then it was it's my turn to wrestle.
Whoever drew a number is up next. So Sandman, he rushes Douglas before the bell. He misses with a home run swing, would have decapitated Douglas, but the franchise gains the upper hand with wrestling, as opposed to any other form of upper hand gaining. Douglas, he is pretty fast-paced to start, which is unusual for him. Usually he's slow, methodical. He does flash the triple threat hand signals to try to get a reaction from the crowd. Doesn't get much. So. All right, so Sandman, he dumps Douglas to the outside as we get a shot of women. Why can't I say her name? We get a shot of women's ham hocks. They do a nice up and down of her legs. The two brawl around ringside, but Sandman loses the hand when he is DDT'd. This is where Douglas slows it down. So he does eventually revert to his slow, painful to watch pace. Joey Styles,
which if you're only in a 7.5 minute match, why would you want to go fast? Because you have to drag it out for a whole 7.5 minutes.
As opposed to
the guys before you just went over a half hour.
At fast pace? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Joey Styles kind of pissed me off here. He's basically just sucking like Douglas's dick on commentary, talking about how he's a great wrestler, blah, blah, blah. Sandman, he dumps Douglas to the outside again, and the two brawl around the crowd. We get some woos at Douglas. You know, he's a big anti-Ric Flair kind of guy. So the fans trying to piss him off by doing that. Yes, it's very mocking. Finally, the Sandman, he grabs a steel dragon and hits Douglas as I cheer very loudly. I was very, very happy to see him hit with it.
I love how you can't read your own handwriting.
Even of my own name.
Out of your spiral notebook.
We get many shots of woman as Sandman works over Douglas in the corner. Sandman, he is botching a couple of moves. He's not a very sound wrestler, but I still like him more than Shane Douglas.
Obviously.
Yeah, Sandman, he misses his shoulder in the corner, and Douglas locks on the cross-face chicken wing. This prompts Woman to come over, presumably to help Douglas, but she ends up whacking him in the back of the knee as both men fall backwards. Douglas, refusing to let go of the chicken wing, ends up having the Sandman lands on top of him, and they end up pinning the Douglas for 1, 2, 3.
And that's all you need. You don't need 4.
No. And I have, what the fuck? Is this true?
Yeah.
It's happened. It already happened?
Yeah.
Oh.
That should be a match, a 4-count match.
You have to. I think there was one where they did a 10 count.
That's too long.
Too long.
4 is like, it's just 4 is funny.
A 5 count. I know. Okay.
No,
so
it's too long.
It finally hits me when Bob Ortiz, he announces Sandman as the new world champion. The crowd erupts. Shane Douglas can't believe it. Joey Styles can't believe it. Shun can't believe it.
I believe it. I saw it.
You believe it?
It was recorded on tape.
It was live on
They put it on the internet.
Oh. So, post-match.
No, it's not on the internet. George Wendt show. It didn't happen.
There's more footage.
The same team that covered up the JFK assassination are the ones that produced and then covered up the George Wendt show.
We need like a bootleg Zapruder film.
Howard Hunt was got an EP credit on the George Wendt show for making it go away.
So, post-match, Woman, she comes into the ring, joins Sandman, as Douglas, he throws quite the temper tantrum outside, throwing chairs, tables. The crowd chants, "You got fucked," and Shane is dead, in reference to the Flair is dead when Shane threw the belt down. That was a nice little turn of events there. Yeah. Douglas, he then, miraculously somebody brought a Monday Night Raw t-shirt to the show, and Douglas dons it, gets on the mic, tells the fans to kiss his ass, and leaves out the back door. To me, how do you say standing?
What?
I was standing ovation. I was standing in ovation?
Sure.
He leaves out the back door.
You were ovating. It was your time of the month to ovate.
He's but yeah. So Douglas, he ends up leaving out the back door as the fans basically chant "na na 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 na."
I knew you were doing it.
Okay. You didn't seem like it at first. So
no, I got it.
I wanted to do the second
You didn't
line.
seem like you knew what you were doing, and I was just like, maybe he'll figure it out.
No, well, I figured you didn't look like you got it by the first na na na. So the second na na na, I thought, well, that'll definitely get it.
I should have just let you go for the hey, hey, hey.
Then it would have clicked. So we cut back to the ring where the Sandman and Woman celebrate to a standing ovation. I mean, I said that almost as much as I've said Stevie Richards. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on the match?
I never like a Shane Douglas match. That's just a standing rule that I have. It's
a standing rule in this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I have finally.
And I just think if you're gonna have a 25-minute match, then you can't have a 7.5-minute title match right after it.
Yeah.
That's the first screw up they've had on the card.
Yeah. So Douglas finally fucking loses. The Sandman puts an end to the 385-day stranglehold Douglas had on the world title.
I hate it how they count title reigns in days.
Would you rather have it?
Matches.
Oh, that's really good.
Because they might not wrestle for weeks.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a couple years with Douglas. Keep that up. Keep that back here. When somebody will go wrestle once a month and they're champion for 7 years.
Right. It should be matches.
Yeah. That's a good point. I do like that.
Record. In all other sports, it's by record.
Except wrestling. So, if you'll remember, Douglas, he won it from Terry Funk all the way back at Ultimate Jeopardy on March 26, 1994. So this is April of 95.
I understand how time works.
Do you?
When you said 381 days, I immediately knew that was slightly longer than you.
I said 385 days.
And I wrote it down 384.
But maybe somebody doesn't know. They use a different calendar.
They don't know how long a year is?
No. Hey, different cultures use different... Nepalese don't use a calendar.
Military time.
Okay. If you don't remember, this is the match where he puts a plastic bag over Terry Funk's head, basically suffocating him, pile drives him, pins him, wins the title. That was the match where there was 8 people involved. Each had a stipulation.
And that's attempted murder.
Yes, suffocation. It's definitely at least aggravated assault. Apparently, I was going to talk about this earlier, but apparently Douglas was in talks with Vince McMahon at the time. Nothing was set in stone. But, alright, I'm going to preface this with everything I'm about to say is from the mouth of Shane Douglas. So I don't know how true this is. He said Vince talked to him, was begging him to basically come back. Vince, Pat Patterson were begging Shane Douglas to come.
And then Shane said he couldn't because he has a girlfriend in Canada.
Was that what it was?
No. That's the same type of lie, though.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I do remember. He was married. Yeah, Shane, they said they were going to give him $350,000. His wife was yeah, okay, we'll do that. He was claiming that Paul Heyman was paying him $100,000 a year.
That's not true.
In ECW, and he was home 5 nights a week. Where the WWF travel schedule is insane. They're on the road 300 days out of the year. So he's I don't know. You should
probably say that in military time.
It's military time, not military days.
Yeah, how many days is that in military time?
Wait. I didn't know they used a different day system.
Yeah, you got to count it in tours.
Oh. 3 tours. All right. So yeah, Douglas was claiming they'd brought him out. They'd set him up in a fancy hotel they knew his wife was a fan of Broadway shows, so they had front row tickets sitting there. Basically
to Cats.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe the Fiddler on the
Was that a popular show in the 90s? Cats?
It's a popular show a year ago, wasn't it? Wow.
Hamilton.
But anyway, they said they wined him, dined him, spent all this money on him. Vince was claiming he was going to make Douglas very rich, blah, blah, blah. And Douglas was claiming, he's I know that something's not right here, or whatever. And like I said, all of that is based on, this is all from the point of view of Shane Douglas. And I don't know how truthful it is that what he was making, what he was offered, what was happening there. I doubt Vince would be I'm bringing you in. Although because in 95 he had Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, all of them. I don't see Dean Douglas, or he would be called Dean Douglas. I don't see Shane Douglas on the same level as those guys.
Not it, though.
So that's what I'm saying. I think he had fucking delusions of grandeur in his brain that he was gonna be fucking the next Hulk Hogan. But for me, this is such a breath of fresh air to see a new champion finally after a year. Although the match itself was nothing spectacular, the ending and the outcome made up for everything for me. Any other thoughts suggestions? Anything like that?
Title match, third to last match.
Are you upset that the title match was on before the tag team title match?
Title match should never be before any match.
Yeah, this is one of the cards where they actually have like all the title matches in legitimate matches on the card.
But
not in
your world championship,
not in the correct order.
Is always the last match.
It should be. It should be the most important.
If your world championship is not your marquee matchup, then you're doing it wrong.
That's the whole point. That's the whole reason everyone's in the company fighting. Is for that title.
Right, and you put it third to last.
So, next up, what do we have?
We have a tag team match.
We do.
When in doubt.
So we got the Public Enemy versus the Pitbulls.
So it's 2-on-1?
The Public Enemies.
Okay, that would make more sense then.
Prove to me where it says Public Enemies. Or is that just based on your own?
I happen to know that the plural of enemy is enemies.
But can't, like, say you have one big organization against the public. What would that be?
That's different.
This is an organization. Two men.
Okay.
So how many men does it have to be where it goes from plural back to singular?
No, they're not an entity.
Do you have to have like trademark and rights? And
okay, ready?
Copyright information.
Name other famous tag teams. Okay, all of them plural. Are they the Dudley Boy?
No. The Heart Foundation.
Foundation is an organization.
The New Day.
Huh.
What?
you may have found one.
Or it's just the tag team is their two names put together. Steve Jones and Tim Johnson.
Right.
The New Day. Gotcha. And there's even 3 people in that one.
So then they're an organization.
Oh,
they're not a tag team. Pick up your mic. You dropped your mic.
You dropped your mic on the ground. You don't have the right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We get Here Comes the Hot Stepper as the Public Enemies. The Champs come out first.
Oh, they're the champs, not the champ?
I refer to them as the Public Enemies.
I know. I'm just showing you the rationalization of why I'm right and you're not.
The Champs come out first, though, which is what I hate. The Champs always should be last. They should be... Mm-hmm. No, everyone should be waiting on them. So we then get a hard edit. For some reason, there's some hard cut to Pitbull 1 in the ring with Rocco Rock. I don't know what happened. Was there like a bad entrance? The Pitbulls were so bad at their entrance, they cut it out. I don't know. So we got Pitbull 1 versus Rocco to start it out. Pitbull 1, he gains the upper hand at the start. Slowly, powerful, methodical. That's what I have written. Pitbull 1, he sets up a table on the outside already. And Public 2 press slams Rocco Rock from in the ring to the outside of the ring, through a table to the concrete floor. That was actually a pretty sweet spot. I was impressed. How did you feel?
Concrete's hard.
Yeah. Table broke his fall, though. This causes Grunge.
I'm sure he was relieved about that.
Yeah. This causes Grunge to run wild on the inside. A double noggin knocker has no effect on the Pitbulls, so they must be dummies. Because they don't have a lot of... You know, when you knock two people's heads together, if they don't have a lot of brain matter.
Air.
But the Pitbulls, they end up regaining the upper hand. They keep the ring cut in half nicely with some pretty solid standard tag team work. Surprisingly, from the two savage animals here. The Pitbulls.
Savage animal.
Pitbulls, they continue to work over Rock with power moves and rest holds. Rocco Rock, he finally reverses the momentum with a nicely executed springboard moonsault. It actually looked very good.
The Big Mo.
The Big Mo. This leads to a 4-way brawl, and we have pure bedlam.
Ooh.
Rocco Rock, he hits Pitbull 1 with a frying pan, and I have finally, because I know how much you love the frying pan.
I just don't know why it's at a wrestling match.
It's your least favorite weapon. So far we've had a dozen eggs, the kitchen sink, and a frying pan. We have all the makings.
We did not have a kitchen sink.
At the time we had a kitchen sink.
We had a bathroom sink the whole time.
Well, I thought it was a kitchen sink.
Well, you, sir.
I am just as dumb as the rest of them.
You, sir, fell for it. You fell for the grand hoax.
That was their plan all along. That was perfect booking by Paul Heyman, telling Joey Styles to call it a kitchen sink when it was actually a bathroom sink. And at this point, both the Public Enemy are busted open. Grunge, he works over Pitbull 2 with the old Steel Dragon. And I have O-L-E. Ole.
That's Ole.
Oh, how do you spell Ole?
O-L.
Apostrophe.
Accent mark.
Accent grave.
Accent mark.
Just an accent. He also hits him with what I believe was a hammer. I don't know if you saw that. We got more of the tool shed. Somebody got the pliers, the hammer. Whoever's taking down the ring later is going to be pissed all their tools are missing.
You're going to have an Allen wrench.
Yeah, I also saw a toaster and a pie tin at some point. The only thing we missing, I might as well had some tinfoil.
No, they used that. They made that chair out of it.
Oh, yeah, that crumpled. Yeah. So, Pitbull 2, he is bleeding at this point. Rock, Pitbull 1, who is also bleeding at this point, brawl into the crowd as Grunge and Pitbull 2 work each other over. We get a loud EC dub chant as the muscular dystrophy crutch makes a reappearance. Second time on the night. We've had more of that in the frying pan, surprisingly. Grunge, he brings a table into the ring, sets it up. He sets up Pitbull 2 on the table, and then Johnny Grunge, he hits a Vader bomb on Pitbull 2 through the table. It's Vader time, apparently. This gets another EC dub chant. Everyone brawling, bleeding on the outside, including Stevie Richards.
Because he's still
because he's in there again. Pitbull 2.
He's Lil Jon, I'm telling you.
He's just everywhere. He's like,
what?
He's like Puff Daddy, or what was it? Yeah, everything on the West Coast had something to do with Lil Jon. Everything on the East Coast had something to do with Puff Daddy.
Featuring Timbaland.
So, yeah, Pitbull 2, who just went through a table, remember, via Vader Bomb, pile drives Johnny Grunge on the outside, who just put Pitbull 2 through the table. Pitbull 2 at this point is a bloody mess, which I rewatched it on the network, man. It was beautiful.
You call it the network now?
I do. It's on, like, actually, I don't even, like, they got rid of it. Like, it merged with the Peacock network or something.
Wow.
So, it's not a standalone app anymore. All right, so finally, on the inside, the Pitbulls, they go for the super bomb, but Rocco Rock reverses it into a top rope hurricanrana, which was nice. Only gets a 2 count. Continuous breaking up of pins between the two tag teams. Inside Grunge, he hits the Pitbulls with their own chain that was hanging out ringside. Although I don't know who was leading them in on the chain.
Disrespectful.
Rocco Rock, he misses the drive-by, but eventually rolls up Pitbull 1 after Johnny Grunge hits him with the chain to retain their titles. For the 3 count. Retain. This match, complete brawl, which is basically what I expected anyway. I did not expect as much blood that they had. I didn't know the Pitbulls bled so much. Lots of blood, lots of weapons. The fans were into it. Made it great for me. What about you?
I thought it was a really good match. And then I went back and thought about it. And you had, again, going back to the last match, you had a 25-minute match with Guerrero, followed by a 7-minute slow match, followed by a 17-minute tag team match. The bread on that sandwich was the best part of that sandwich. It was a shit sandwich.
So the turd in the middle.
It was a nice brioche
type
bun with human excrement. I mean,
not even a good spreadable.
No, well, I mean, yeah, it was spreadable human excrement.
Well, I'm saying like it was the hard, chunky stuff that ruins the bread. Like you know when peanut butter doesn't really spread out that well.
Yeah.
So the turd wasn't even. It wasn't.
I've never spread human feces.
Turd.
So I don't.
Onto a piece of bread. You don't know they're good.
I don't know if it's creamy or crunchy.
The best kind of quality. You don't know if you want the creamy or chunky bread. Oh, that's so disgusting. What's a good bread to handle? What's a good vehicle?
You probably want a bagel.
A baguette? Or like
no, just a plain bagel.
Alright, so next up we have 911 versus Ron Simmons. Joined in progress. Well, more than just joined in progress. This is actually just the ending. As 911 chokeslams Ron Simmons from the second rope for the 3. This must have been terrible.
Was this just an excuse to get Paul Heyman on the show?
On some TV time?
Some TV time?
Yeah, I think so. This actually does stem from last card where it was Ron Simmons versus Mikey Whipwreck. Mikey Whipwreck actually beat Ron Simmons, who continued to beat him after the match. 911 came out, made the save, have this match. Now, apparently from what I was hearing, like what I read on the background is 911 really wanted to wrestle, but Paul Heyman's like, no, you're going to be fucking terrible. It's going to ruin your career. Just stick to the 911 chants coming out and chokeslamming people.
The shtick, if you will.
Yeah. So obviously this came to fruition as they didn't show any of the match or 911 doing any moves except the last one. And Ron Simmons is like very athletic man for the incredible size.
Sneaky athletic.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no other thoughts or anything on the match. It wasn't enough time to have thoughts.
You just had the most thoughts anybody's ever had about that
match. In the past 20 years.
Including the 1,150 people that were in there. in there to watch it. Oh, I'm sorry. 11:49 because that one guy got kicked out earlier.
Yeah. During the Malenko Eddie match. So next up we have our main event.
Cactus Yak.
Versus...
He won't go away.
He's not going anywhere. He was away till he returned.
From the grave.
Okay. This kind of also stems from that March 18 Extreme Warfare show. You know, like I was saying earlier, it was Sandman, Terry Funk versus Cactus and Shane Douglas. At this show on March 18th, Extreme Warfare, Terry Funk actually brought out a flaming branding iron and burned Cactus Jack on the shoulder, and then Pyle drove him onto that flaming branding iron and pinned him for the 3. So we didn't have anything last card, which was kind of upsetting, but I realize now that these cards were a week apart. So knowing what they did now, that they could only do this once. They could not do this 2 weeks in a row. So we get Terry Funk coming out to the ring first. Gets a nice little pop despite being the heel of the evening. Then Born to be Wild kicks on as Cactus comes out to a nicer, bigger pop. Funk, he says stuff on the mic. Couldn't really hear too much of it. I do like how Funk, he does say, fuck the introductions. They know who I am, they know who he is. Let's just do this. This is where I noticed that Terry Funk's shirt says Cactus My Ass on the back of it, which is funny. I wanted to get one of those. Cactus, he gets on the mic and says he doesn't want to do it in the ring, but he wants to do it out here in the audience, and asks Terry Funk to join him. Funk, he yells his t-shirt slogan at Cactus and tells him that he'd be happy to join him after. However, Funk, he goes to a different part of the audience, which I think he wanted to actually go to where the hard camera was so he could be seen on the hard camera.
That's where his ticket was.
That's what it said on his tickets.
Yeah.
He's at row F, seat 4.
Seat 4.
So finally, Cactus, he does join him. They start the fight on the bleachers, brawl to the broadcast booth as Funk wields a steel dragon. Conveniently, that table is reset up again. Or did anyone ever break that one that was on the broadcast system? With that
no, he hit him with a chair. It never put him anybody.
Oh yeah, the tinfoil chair. So that table is still there. Cactus, he returns the favor with the steel dragon as Funk ends up laying on the table. Cactus, he drops an elbow from the elevated loft part of the broadcast, but misses, going through the table onto the lower elevated part. It was actually a pretty sweet spot. It looked, he didn't, try to break his fall at all. So it looked like he was going to hit it, but he missed it. So it looked incredibly painful. They make their way back to ringside. We get a crutch versus chair spot. Cactus, again, with a frying pan. You need to be careful with those. You know what happened last time. The Sandman. Funk, he does disarm him almost immediately, though. Back in the ring, Funk brings in a table. They both eat the table multiple times, getting ran into it. All of a sudden, brawl on the outside, a toilet seat makes an appearance.
From the bathroom that no longer has a sink.
Yeah, that bathroom got tore up. It was missing a toilet seat cover, and a sink.
That's why I said no admittance.
Holy shit. And this was all before the show even started. So Funk being choked with the toilet seat. Funk, he does hit a nasty slam from the apron to the floor on Cactus Jack. That was full brunt force. They continue brawling on the outside, make their way all the way to the entrance area. Cactus, he brings a refuse bin as they as they brawl back to the ring. Nails Funk with it, and that looked like it had legitimate garbage in it. Like there was empty beer cans, nacho plates. Funk, he returns the favor with 3 whacks of a glass bottle he found in the
refuse can?
In the refuse bin, yes. And he finally actually does break it over Cactus's head. And that thud is just so cringe. It's nasty. Oh. Funk, he then begins to start carving up Cactus's arm with the broken bottle. This is getting like on the verge of like
torture.
Yeah. And like we're talking like the police force getting involved, like assault. This has gone from battery to assault. Funk, he then moves on to the chest and forehead. Funk, he begins to smack Cactus, as in just straight up paintbrush smacking him. Berates him on the mic as Jim Molyneux conveniently holds the mic for him. Mikey, he hits the ring. Mikey Whipwreck defends Cactus, but Funk tosses him out. This in turn causes Hack Myers to hit the ring. He ends up receiving the same fate. This 50-year-old man looks like a monster right now, tossing these kids out that are a third his age. Funk, he works over Cactus's leg with a steel dragon and locks on the dumbest finishing move of all time. Do you know what that is? The Funk spinning toe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I fucking hate it.
I try to put it out of my head every time.
Alright, yeah, the Funk spinning toe hold, which of course gets reversed into a roll-up by Cactus. The adrenaline begins to kick in on Cactus. Hits a DDT on the chair. Gets a 1, 2, but then Sandman comes in and makes the save with his Singapore cane. The bell rings as Cactus hits another DDT, but apparently that was irrelevant as Cactus pins Terry Funk, gets the 3 count, and the victory. Sandman, he immediately works over Cactus post-match, dumps a beer on him. Funk, he then, I didn't realize this, but he had left the ring, returns with a flaming branding iron once again. He blows it in Cactus's face, so apparently he had a mouthful of alcohol or something. Blows it into Cactus's face, burning his flesh.
On his face.
Yeah. Funk, he stalks Cactus with the branding iron, and it looks like he's attempting to burn his balls, or brand his balls. Finally, Cactus takes the branding iron away, swings wildly at Terry Funk, who retreats, and a bunch of mid-carders come out to Cactus's rescue as we fade to black. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a feeling we're going to see that them duke it out again.
They're going to duke it out once more?
They're going to duke it out once or twice more.
Yeah. By the time we got to this match, so many weapons and items have been used, and so much blood had been shed, I didn't think like it'd be possible to top that, but I was wrong. These two pulled out all the stops. I thought it was a good match from start to finish, but what I hate is how is your world champion someone's like doing run-ins on someone else's match?
Exactly.
Like, how is he the lackey? He should have people doing run-ins for him.
Mm-hmm. Those are the rules.
Yes. So that was the only thing I was thinking of. Although the only thing I can grant is that he just won the title today.
True.
Is the only saving grace that he has. So I thought, like, how are they going to top all this? They had crutches, eggs, T-Rex, but they bust out the bottle and fire. So
well, your dad's wrestling weapons.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the card as a whole?
Other than the title match, it flowed good. I like it how when they knew the matches were crap, they just fast forwarded them through the Vimeo.
Yeah. What foresight, huh? Like I could just see like Paul Heyman be like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." Is there any way we could just cut this whole thing out? Can we just show the ending? Oh, we can. Let's do that.
It's just a lot.
For me, this was a good card. We're definitely going more to the extreme.
We have moved.
We've already moved. We've already stepped that line.
We've crossed the line.
To extreme and hardcore. I think we broke the record for weapon use this week up until now. I don't want to for the future. Mikey versus Stevie was relatively clean, along with Eddie versus Malenko. Also, the 2 bad matches apparently were clipped. The third bad match, I guess, was not, but luckily it was only 7.5 minutes.
Right. They couldn't clip it because it was a world championship match.
Well, would they clip the world title tournament?
That's right.
The only new person this card that we don't know, it's only been a week though, is this Subo Genjin, who doesn't stick around. I don't know much about him. All 3 titles were defended.
Which is, you have to do that pay-per-view.
You should be
one
doing
of my
it.
Other rules.
Yeah. Not in order though, because we went TV World Tag.
Yeah.
Douglas, he lost the title. That's good for me. Mr. Hughes was not there. And it was capped off with 3 very bloody brawls. We had the Rotten Brothers, Public Enemy versus Pitbulls, and Funk versus Cactus Jack.
It was the best. It's the best one so far.
Yeah.
What we've done.
Yeah, and especially like I said on the WWE network, it's because the videotape is pretty poor quality, but
they've enhanced it. Enhance.
Yes.
Enhance.
Definitely moving in the right direction. I don't think anyone leaves at this point, but we'll go over that next time. There was actually storyline built up on this. And
storyline built before and then carried out.
Yes. And some continuing, too.
Right. Not like they built it and then where to go.
Yeah. I mean, with the exception of Mikey versus Stevie, really everything else had storyline. Maybe Eddie versus Malenko, but that was just meant to be a wrestling spectacle. Mm-hmm. So you get both things there. For me, it checked all the boxes of like bloody hardcore. There was some crisp mat wrestling, and I love good storyline and theatrics and promo work. We're moving in the right direction, definitely, since 1993. Do you know what's up next?
No.
Next, we have Enter the Sandman.
I wonder what this is going to be about.
Join us next time as we reopen the Extreme Wrestling Archive.
Talking on the wind, you got to understand we